The Garden State is well known for several things, including the beach, Atlantic City, the Meadowlands, and the Devils. However, many may not be aware that this heavily populated state is home to numerous paranormal and inexplicable happenings. In this episode, we'll look at 10 of the most haunted places in New Jersey. Let's kick off with our first ghostly encounter. Number 10, Shippen Manor. Dr. William Shippen Sr. and his brother, Joseph Shippen II, owned the Oxford Furnace from its inception in 1741 until they passed it down to their descendants. In 1755, they built this home on a 4,000-acre, 1,618-hectare estate. The manor is now included on the state and national registers of historic places. Given its age, it's no surprise that there are ghosts here, as seen by many witnesses who have never met. So there's no collusion to create the same tale. A young boy dressed in medieval clothing is frequently noticed walking around the front yard or porch. A woman's torso is believed to fly around like a headless chicken. A Revolutionary War soldier is rumored to walk the grounds as well. There are also telltale doors opening and closing on their own volition, bodiless murmurs, and intermittent other inexplicable incidents at Shippen Manor, to the point where the house was featured on a 2018 episode of Ghost Hunters. At number 9, Burlington County Prison. This eerie edifice served as a jail from 1811 to 1965, a total of 154 years. It was the country's oldest prison when it closed. It was a progressive prison design, with individual cells, fireproof structure, and enough ventilation. With that in mind, this prison has witnessed brutal executions and gruesome murders, and it currently houses many of the ghosts of those who died within its walls. During the 19th and early 20th centuries, the prison yard was not only used for executions, but many inmates also died attempting to escape. There is a local belief that some inmates are buried beneath the basement. The basement and the death cell are the most active areas for paranormal activity. Reports of disembodied screams, bodiless footsteps, and objects moving on their own are all too common in various portions of the prison. The structure was converted into a museum shortly after the prison was decommissioned. In 1986, it was declared a National Historic Landmark. This prison museum has a dungeon full of ghosts, each with a story about how they died. Number 8, Absecon Lighthouse. The Absecon is New Jersey's oldest lighthouse, with construction beginning in 1854 and completed in 1857. It's not only the state's oldest lighthouse, but also the most haunted. Although the lighthouse was deactivated in 1933, it still glows brightly every night. Unfortunately, many lives were lost near the craggy coast before the lighthouse was built, and locals believe that not all of them have crossed over. Specifically, the packet ship Powhatan was repeatedly rammed into the Barnegat Shoals, killing almost 200 passengers. This incident served as the basis for approval to build the Absecon Lighthouse. This location has most certainly been haunted since before the lighthouse, as it is filled with the remains of those who arrived before the Powhatan. This shore has seen death for generations. The first recorded account of ghostly activity came in 1905, when the lighthouse keeper claimed to have seen the Jersey Devil seated atop the tower. He told authorities that night that he grabbed his shotgun and fired at the beast before it fled. Since then, the Absecon has received several tales of spirits of various kinds, as well as disembodied laughter and footsteps. Most bizarrely, dimes have been reported to emerge in various locations around the lighthouse with no obvious origin. Number 7, Devil's Tower. This frightening 6-story Gothic stone clock tower was designed by Charles Rawlinson Lamb for sugar baron Manuel Rionda and erected in 1910. He specifically wanted his wife to view New York from the New Jersey side of the Hudson River. The narrative goes that when his wife spotted him with another woman, she committed suicide by jumping off the tower. Rionda ceased construction of the tower since it was intended for his wife, who had died. It is reported that if you drive around the tower 6 times backward, Mrs. Rionda's ghost will take possession of your automobile and possibly divert it into a tree. This allegedly occurred to a group of youngsters, one of whom was fatally injured. Continuing with this motif, if one walks around the tower 6 times, the devil will arrive. Those who have made their way past the gate or onto the premises via other ways report being pushed by an unseen and unheard assailant. Number 6. The historic village. This region was formerly used as a Native American ceremonial burial place until 1650. It was then converted into a bog iron-based producing complex. James Allaire bought the property in 1822. Eventually, he established a small village. Allaire Village housed around 400 people, facility workers and their families. It was an autonomous town, and 13 of the original structures are still standing at Allaire State Park, where visitors can take tours. Today, it is believed to hold multiple spirits. Allaire's first wife, Frances, died from cholera in 1836. Later, his son Hal and second wife Calicia died in their family home in the village. According to local folklore, they all remain trapped as ghosts inside their family home. Allaire's ghost tears in funeral attire atop the stairway, and Hal's spirit is supposed to communicate with visitors who bring him candies. Number 5. The Cranberry Inn. The Cranberry Inn's taverns date back to the 1750s. Although the inn was not officially established until 1780, people have eaten and drank at the Cranberry for around 270 years. Throughout the years, these walls have witnessed history unfold. The inn was formerly a stop on the Underground Railroad, and the attic was utilized to shelter individuals seeking freedom in Canada. Over the years, staff and guests have reported numerous unexplained incidents and sightings, including doors opening and closing on their own. Once, a pregnant employee was on her way to a locked storage room with her hands full, and the door simply opened for her as she was an arm's length away. Other employees claim they have gotten psychic communications directing them to turn off electrical fixtures. Number 4. The Spy House. Thomas Whitlock erected this residence in 1663, making it one of the earliest remaining houses in the Bayshore area. When Thomas Seabrook ran an inn there about a century later, it became known as the Spy House. According to legend, Seabrook served as a patriot in the New Jersey militia. He could successfully spy on British troops that visited his inn. Seabrook's spirit is just one of several at the Spy House. According to locals, a ghostly woman wanders from room to room in search of her purportedly screaming infant. A spectral presence of a tiny kid is frequently seen peering out the windows, and a bearded sea captain patrols the premises. Most impressively, the renowned pirate Captain Morgan is claimed to have tortured people in this house's basement, and bodiless moans can be heard from behind the cellar door. Number 3. The Devil's Tree. The Devil's Tree is a solitary oak tree with dead branches that grows in an undeveloped field along Mountain Road in Bernards Township's Martinsville portion. According to local folklore, the tree is cursed. It is generally documented in Bernard that, sometime in the early 20th century, a farmer murdered his wife and children before hanging himself from a tree, therefore initiating the curse. Several murders and suicides have happened at the Devil's Tree. Why hasn't it been trimmed down? According to the legend, anyone who cuts down the tree will be cut down in some fashion soon afterward. The spirits of those who have died at the tree provide it with mystical warmth, especially in the winter when snow falls. There is no snow directly surrounding or on the tree as a result of this. Number 2. The Emlyn Physick Estate. This 18-room home was constructed in 1879 for Dr. Emlyn Physick Jr. After Physick, his mother and his sister died. No subsequent property owner stayed for long, purportedly because the ghosts of the original inhabitants haunted the building and scared them away. During ghost tours, tourists have claimed being touched, and others have seen a woman dressed in vintage clothing strolling through the old property. Museum administration claims to have a recording of a disembodied child's voice from one of the rooms. The most terrifying, inexplicable phenomenon at this home is the appearance of ghost dogs. Ghost dogs are among the uncommon paranormal encounters, and according to residents, a complete pack patrols the grounds of Physic Estate. If short ghost stories are your thing, why not watch the next one coming up after this? Number 1. Shades of Death Road. Shades of Death Road is a 2-lane rural road measuring approximately 6.7 miles, 10.8 kilometers in length. It runs north to south, beginning in Alamuchi Township and ending at Liberty Township. It winds through Jenny Jump Forest and Ghost Lake. Many local legends revolve around this stretch of road. According to one tradition, the ghostly victims of highwayman robberies, as well as the offenders themselves, were hanged from the roadside trees. According to one account, the highway was named after the area's original residents, a rowdy group of squatters. The men would frequently battle for the ladies, often leading in death. The site eventually established a reputation for violence and murder, earning it the name Shades of Murder. When civilization pushed its way into the area and expelled the squatters, the only trace of their rule over the meadows was a solitary road that retained the name.